Hi guys, Toby here, the Ecom Business Coach. In this training, I'm going to go through the 9-step framework to e-commerce success. These are the steps I work with my clients when I'm helping e-commerce business owners for the last 20 bloody years. Yes, I'm getting old. These are the actual steps I implement into their businesses to help them first get to 1 million a year, then get to 1 million a month and beyond. So this is about how to structure the whole business. And if you follow these frameworks and follow these steps, you'll be able to take your e-com store there too. Now, this isn't for new e-commerce store owners or people who haven't got to that initial consistent monthly income yet. So if you're still a fairly new e-com store, I do have another workshop on my website, which you can register for, which is kind of gives you the 6 step to kickstart your sales. Because at that point in your life cycle, things are a little bit different. Here it's more than, okay, we've now established a site, we've established some products, we've established some sales. Now let's grow. Let's grow the business, get in control of the numbers and build the team. So we can turn this into a proper business which can earn you good profit and money and also get your time back as an owner as you build the team to run the business instead of you. So that's what this is aimed to do. Now in this workshop, I'm just going to go through these steps. You can then take that away with you and go and implement that into your e-com business as you see fit. I will also put a link below for you to book in for a call with me if you like. Now, this is the only sale I'm going to do on the workshop, but I can give you hands-on help to implement this stuff in your business with my one-on-one coaching programs. I'll put a link below here where you can book in a call with me so we can have a discussion to see if and how I can help you. And if we think it's a good match, what I tend to do is do a free intro session where we'll jump on Zoom together. We'll unpack your business in a bit more detail. We'll put a bit of plan of what I think you need to do. And then if we both think coaching is something you'll benefit from, we'll look at the different options from that. So if you are interested in looking at some one-on-one coaching, then yeah, please start by booking in for a call. That's the only sales I'm going to do. The rest of this workshop is content and to give you some ideas and give you the framework that you need in your e-com store to be successful. So there's three key areas that we really work on in your store and that you need to work in your business and in your store to see exactly what it is you need to do to scale the business and to scale the business so you get to that $1 million plus a month. So there's 3 key areas we focus on, and it's really solving 3 key problems in the business. And the first one is the lack of money, and then it's really kind of about getting control of your money. The second one is a lack of growth. So, okay, let's look at growing and see what we need to do that. And the other one then is a lack of people. So they're the 3 key areas that if you master in your e-commerce business, they will help you grow a sustainable e-com business where you can make some real profit and get some of your time back to enjoy that profit. That's what we're trying to do. If you look at kind of what I do, I'm really a traditional business coach who are specialized in e-com. Now, there's a lot of people out there on socials who do help e-commerce businesses, which is great. A lot of them are focused though on marketing and growing, which is also very important. So you need those guys too. I'm more whole of business. So that's why we work on the numbers and understanding your financials, as well as then building your team. There's no point just growing your e-com business if you don't have a team or a structure to deal with that, because you've then got a serious business to contend with. And this is what this framework is set up to do. It's a setup to give you the tools you need to manage and grow that serious business. So it's solid and lasts, and we can take it to wherever we want to take it to. So the first place to start though, and this is you've already got some sales, you've already got something going on. Once you've got that, the first thing we need to start doing is on the money side of things. So we need to master your money. We need to get in control of your money. Now, I don't say that just because I'm an accountant. I am an accountant, or recovering accountant, as I like to say. But numbers are the language of business. They show you what's working and what's not. As a business owner, you need to understand some of those core numbers. Now, in e-commerce especially, numbers become even more important, as everything you do from a marketing point of view and a sales point of view, you're tracking numbers and working out what the numbers are telling you to what's working and what's not, and then making adjustments. So I'm sorry if you're not an accountant or if you don't like numbers. I believe as an e-com business owner, you need some understanding of your key numbers. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be an accountant, heaven forbid, but you do need to have a good understanding of your numbers and have the right reports and information coming to you so that you and your team can make better decisions. And that's why we start there. It's really kind of the foundation of the business to understand the numbers. And there's three key things we look at from the numbers point of view, and that's your profit, your cash, and your data. Now, the first thing we start with, and this is your first step, step one is profit. So we need to look at the profitability of your business and to see where things are from a financial point of view. Now, I start that, generally speaking, by calculating what we call your break even. So your break even will tell us exactly what your fixed costs are of running the business. It will tell us exactly what your margins are, so how much profit you're making after selling your product and paying the cost of sales, paying any shipping, paying any finance charges, all that stuff, so that we understand exactly how many sales we need to be doing each day, week, month, year to, first of all, break even, so your cost break even, so to cover your cost of running your business, and second of all, then your profit break even. So what we need to be doing to produce the profit we want as a business in sales each day, week, month, and year. So you can then understand clearly each day we had a good day or not, each week if we had a good day or not. So that's your first step of getting into your profit. And what we're really doing is you're kind of lifting the bonnet on your car and going in and diagnosing the business and work out, okay, what are my costs? What does it cost me to run this business? Can I save some of those costs? Can I cut some of those costs out? Do I need them all? Okay, what is my real margins? Margins in e-com is obviously vitally important. So you've got to think about when you're doing your products that there's enough margin in the products to obviously pay for your marketing too, and to cover all shipping as well potentially. So you need to know and understand what that margin is. Then you need to obviously understand what your marketing costs are. So MER is a big thing, which is just your marketing efficiency ratio. So that tells you how efficient your marketing's been. And it's really looking at your marketing spend as a percentage of sales, because that's then the percentage that comes out of your margin. So a big part of when you calculate your break even is breaking that all down and looking, okay, what is my marketing budget? What is my wages costs? What are my other costs of running the business? Rent, accountants, everything else you're paying for, vehicles, whatever else is going for your business. What's the personal stuff going for your business? What's it costing me each day, week, month, and year to run this business? It's a bit like getting on the scales. It can be a bit confronting. Sorry, there's a fly flying around me. I don't know where that's come from. It can be a bit confronting initially when you do that, but then you know exactly where you're at. And then you know exactly where your margins are at too. I just did this with the client last week. We've been coaching now for a little while, and he's going through this growth stage. So I think they're up to about, they'll do 500,000 revenue this month. So when they started, they were doing about 100, 120. So we've managed to steadily grow the business. And one of the first things we did was obviously unpack the numbers. So we looked at, okay, what are the fixed costs of running the business? What are your wage costs? Then what are your margins? What are the shipping costs that come out of that? And we worked out that his margins were really too low. He was not earning enough in margins to cover the cost of marketing and to cover the cost of the business. So if we didn't do that before scaling, then we could put money into marketing, we could grow the sales, but if there's not enough profit there, we're just going to go broke more quickly. So when we saw that, we were able to then do something about it. And there's basically two things we did with him. First, we've etched the prices up over the last few weeks and months and put price rises in, which, by the way, had no impact on sales. I don't say that's always going to happen, but a lot of the time it doesn't. And I've done this with a number of clients over the years where we put the prices up and nothing happens. So we put the prices up, and then the other thing we did do is we got the costs down. So we looked at different ways of decreasing costs for product. And some of that was getting rid of some products that weren't selling, or we were never going to get the margin up. And some of it was then looking at how we manufacture the product, how the product's packed with various bits, taking some of the parts out so it was cheaper. So we did a lot of that. And then we looked at kind of all the products, so all the SKUs we had listed down on a spreadsheet, which you should have as well. So we can see each line, what margin we're making. You can see the lower margin ones. You can then start upping the price on those lower margin ones or working out how to get that cheaper. So then obviously your average margin goes up. So we've got his margin percent points up by, I think, 7 percentage points. So now he's making a healthy margin, which means not only are we increasing his sales, his profit is increasing too, which is obviously having a big impact on cash flow as well. Because growth can be painful on cash flow, and we'll talk about cash flow next. But first and foremost, we need to be making sure we're making a profit. We understand what our costs are, we understand what our margins are, and we can then understand exactly what sales we need to do each day, week, month, and year to break even or to reach the profit targets we want to reach. Because then you can look at that and go, okay, how big is the gap between where we are now and where we need to be? What changes do I need to make, like my client where we up the margins, to then be able to get there? From that, then you need to set yourself up a forecast. So then we need a budget for your fixed costs, which will come from what you've just done, and a sales forecast for the next year. So we can then work out, okay, this is our plan, our financial plan for this year for what we think we can earn from the business. So we have that financial plan, and then I'll show you, or I'll talk about how we use that in a second, to then manage the business on a day-to-day basis and a week-to-week basis, because you'll then compare what you've actually achieved compared to what you planned. And we would seasonally verify that as well. So if your business is more busy at certain times of year, then obviously we would adjust the sales accordingly. But you want from this understanding exactly what your break even is, exactly what your costs and margins are, so you know what you need to do to get a profit. Then you put a plan together for that profit. One thing I would add to that as well is business is there to make and improve your wealth. That's why you're doing this. So one thing we want to make sure we do is have a plan for doing that as well. And this needs to be built into the plan at this point. So what you need to do is work out first and foremost your personal budget. So how much money do you and your business partners need to live off each week that the business needs to pay for? And then obviously you want to balance that with what the business can provide and where you're at, as well as the lifestyle you want to lead. But you want to know what that figure is. And obviously the more careful you can be with that figure, the better, in the fact that you can improve your wealth. But you want then the business to pay you a wage that covers that living it costs so you can live. But then also you want the business then to put money aside and have a plan that you can then take extra money each quarter or biannually or annually that you can use then to invest or pay down debt or do something to improve your wealth. It could be investing in another business, it could be shares, it could be property, it could be paying down your debt. But you want your financial position to be improving each year. Now, most e-com business owners have a plan to build the business up and then sell it for large figures at the end, which is a great plan. Not everybody gets there for various different reasons. So you want to make sure you're getting ahead financially along the way. So you want to have a plan and work out, okay, based on the figures I've just calculated, I could get a profit here of 300,000. I need to pay myself a wage of 100. There's 200 left. Perhaps I can take another 100 to prove my wealth. So then you can calculate that, And then we can go to the cash and work out then how to start putting that away. But if you don't plan for it, you're never going to get it. And if you don't do it and don't start paying for yourself, then you're not going to get ahead financially. And obviously you've got to wait until the business is in the right place to do that. It might not be the right place right now. But this will tell us that. This will tell us that exactly where the position of the business is now and what needs to happen to get us to the position where we can actually start making some money. So that's understanding profit and understanding the profit of the business. The next step is cash. So I'm sure you've heard the saying, cash is king. Cash is the lifeblood of your business. So you need to obviously make sure you're looking after cash. And the difference here, profit is the reason you're in business. If there's no profit, you may as well shut up shop and go and do something else or go and work for somebody else, probably for a lot less stress. But cash is the lifeblood of the business. It's the fuel of the business. And if you run out of cash, then you're dead. And I've worked with plenty of businesses that have got good profits but no cash. And this is why you need to work next on your cash and understand first and foremost your cash gap. So your cash gap is really the difference between you paying cash out from you getting paid cash back in. And this can be different for different businesses. It depends if you're just purely retail, so purely e-com, or whether you're doing wholesale as well. I've got a number of my clients who do wholesale as well. If we can do wholesale, you should definitely do wholesale. But that's a different question for a different section. But the differences here is what tends to happen for most e-com businesses, or a lot of my clients, is they've got manufacturers in China or they're buying products from China. So China go, you want me to send you this shipment? I want the money now. I want it right now. So you have to pay the money before they even put it on the boat. Then obviously you have to wait for it to come over on the boat or the plane if you're still in that position. Get to the boat as quick as you can. A lot cheaper, obviously. And that helps with margins. Most important thing, after sales. But the point is, your cash has gone out the door. You might have to wait 3 weeks before the stock arrives. Stock comes in, it might take you 3 weeks to 3 months to sell the stock. Now you don't get paid until the sale is made and Shopify or whoever else you use finally decides to give you the money and put it in your bank account. So that means there's a big gap. And that gap can cause you problems, especially if you're growing. So I worked with a client back in the UK, and this was many years ago now. I told you I was old. Actually, it's probably over 20. I've been in Australia 20 years this year, so it must have been over 20 years ago. They had an e-com business, and they were importing stuff from China and selling it online. So they had gadgets and electronic devices. And one of the key things they were selling actually was the USB sticks. So they were fairly new at the time, and they were selling a load of them. So they would obviously go to China, buy them, ship them over to the UK, and then sell them. They actually won a contract with Tesco's to supply them wholesale with branded USB sticks. As you can imagine, that was a big contract. It quadrupled their business overnight. And this was only a small business. And I remember joking, how did you win this over Sony going direct or all these other companies going direct? And they worked from this beautiful converted barn in Wiltshire countryside, which was a beautiful place, but not your big business you'd expect Tesco's to sign up with. And they said, yeah, we didn't bring them here, and we just negotiated really well. And they did. There's an amazing contract to win. Quadrupled their sales overnight. You looked at their profit and loss account, making bags of cash. But the issue they had is the cash gap, because they were having to buy the stock, pay for the stock before it even got here. It was on a boat, sit on a boat for a few weeks. Then when they got it, they still had to do some processing on it for packaging and stuff like that. Then they get it out to Tesco's. Tesco's, thank you very much. And Tesco's paid them in 90 days. So you can imagine the gap from a cash point of view was huge, because they were paying out before it even got there. And there's probably another 30 to 60 days before they even sent it to Tesco's. So what's that, 120, 150 days cash gap. And Tesco's were growing. They were rolling out more and more stores. So the business, when I came along, was in trouble. They were in financial trouble. They had no money. And it wasn't because they weren't profitable, but it was because of the cash gap. And for e-com, that's often having to buy stock long before you can sell it, or pay for the stock long before you can sell it. That's often the challenge that you need to address. So with these guys, we set up 2 facilities to help them close that cash gap. And one of them is definitely something you should need to think about as an e-com business owner, and that's trade finance. So trade finance is a product that banks offer that they will pay for that order for you. So you'll put an order in with China, 100K order. They'll go, all right, China go, we want our money. The bank will go, here's 100K, and they'll do a deal on that 100K. And they'll go, okay, we're going to lend you this 100K. You have to pay us back in X amount of days, usually 90, 180, whatever days you want. And obviously the interest is more the longer it is. You have to pay us back on this date. This is when it matures, and this is the interest that I'm going to charge you. Here's China, have your money. So that means your money hasn't left your account. The products come in. You get that 180 days or 90 days to sell the product and turn it into cash before you have to repay the bank for that facility. That's a very useful tool and useful way of doing it. There is a challenge with that. A lot of banks won't do it until you've got quite a bit of history. So I've got a client at the moment where he's had to bootstrap it to start his e-commerce business owner. And I'm sure way back at the start, no one's giving you money. No one wants to give you money, or if they do, it's at extraordinarily high interest rates. So you have to kind of rob Peter to pay Paul to try and get the stock here. But as you grow, using other people's money at a reasonable rate, so going to the main street banks and getting them to do it, helps close that cash gap. For this other client, we also did debt for finance as well, which is on invoices sent out, because they're wholesale, obviously, and they're having to wait 90 days to get paid. The bank will say, okay, we'll give you 80% of that invoice today, and then you pay us back when Tesco's pay you. And that's quite a common product as well. Can be a bit expensive on the interest, that one. Try and avoid that one if you can. I'm not so keen on that one. But it was great for them and enabled them to close that cash gap. But the first thing you need to do in your e-commerce store is understand what your cash gap looks like and how you're funding that. Because in that scenario where they're growing, they're having to fork out more and more money for every order way before money comes back. And even when money comes back, there's more going out than coming in because they're growing. So that's where a lot of businesses fail, because they grow too quickly without having the right financial structure in place. So you need to do that. The other thing you need to think about as well, from a cash gap point of view in e-com, is if you're paying for ads, which most e-com stores have to, because that's how you get your traffic. Not all. Some have broken the mold and there's more and more doing it, which is exciting to watch. But most people pay Meta and Google a lot of money to get sales. So that means more money going out the door. So you need to understand from a cash and profit point of view when you start getting cash positive from that. Some businesses actually lose money on that first sale and don't start making money until the customer has brought a few more orders. If that's the case, then there's a cash gap there. For others, they make the profit on the first order. But you need to know your numbers to know that, which is why you need to know the margins at the profit stage, so you can work out what your return on ad spend break even is. And you can see the whole time in your accounts whether you're above that or not. That way you know you're still making profit, the reason you're in business. The other part of managing cash is having a cash flow forecast. So I use a very simple tool for a weekly cash flow forecast. And that forecasts out, okay, what we expect coming in, here's all the payments going out. So we're planning out when money's going out, we're planning out when money's coming in, and we're reviewing that on a weekly basis. I then also get you to set up, and this is what you should do too, separate accounts to put money aside. So you need money aside for a tax account, for your tax account. So in Australia, that's your BAS, that's your PAYG, your super, payroll tax if you're that lucky. But all your taxes should be going into a separate account. Keep them out your main bank account So that way you know you've got the money to pay your tax bills when they get due and you don't get caught out. It's also with a number of clients, I do have stock accounts. So we have a stock account where we start putting money aside to pay for the next order. That depends, like some of my clients have got trade finance facilities set up, but I've also got some clients that manufacture their own product, but they still have to buy obviously ingredients. And the ingredients probably isn't enough to warrant trade finance. So we put money aside each week to build up the funds to pay for the next order. But if you've got anything like that, you should have a separate bank account putting the money aside. And there's one more account I would definitely add to that, and that's your profit account or reserve account. So this comes back to what we talked about the first step, where you want to start saving money that you can take from the business to improve your wealth. So you want a profit account where you're putting money aside each week and building that balance up. And then at the period you've decided, whether it's quarterly, I wouldn't do it more than quarterly, but quarterly, biannually or annually, you go, okay, there is 100K there. I haven't needed it in the bank account. I'm going to take it and put it where I want to put it to work for me to improve my wealth. So that you need that cash management system set up so you know exactly what's going on from a cash point of view, and you're saving up money for all the things you need money for. It's a bit of a mind game, really. It's a bit of a mind trick. Most business owners, me included as well, will kind of run our businesses financially from looking at our bank accounts. If we look at the bank account, the bank account looks pretty healthy, we think everything's all right. But if our next BAS is in there and PAYG's in there and taxes in there and next stock payments in there and we don't know, then we can get this false sense of security that we've got more money than we have. If you take it out the account and say and earmark it for what it's needed for, then when you look at your bank, you'll go, oh fuck, I haven't got much money in there. Let's push hard. We need to keep pushing forward. Or I can't afford that next thing. This is also when you kind of deciding, and this comes back to the break even as well, what you use that for too, that's when you decide whether you can afford to bring more people on, for example. But that's on the cash flow as well. So you can see that from a cash flow point of view too as well. So that's your cash. The next thing after cash you need to work on then is data. So this is the fun part. Oh, it's all fun, really. Come on. You got to love it, really. But this is the last part from the money side of things. So what we're talking about here is probably two parts to this. The first part is understanding and setting up your dashboard. So you have a daily dashboard. You can daily or weekly, but once you get to the point where you've got some good consistent sales, you really want a daily dashboard. And the daily dashboard should show the key numbers that are important for you to be across each day and each week to see if the business is performing and moving in the right direction. So for ecom, and I've got a dashboard that I use with my clients, so the ecom business dashboard, the key things you need to look at there is obviously you're looking at your site. You obviously want to look at your sales. You obviously then want to look at your traffic to your site, bounce rate, people who've added to cart, people who've checked out. So you can kind of calculate both of those. Obviously number of orders, average order value. I've got sales in there, haven't I? Is there anything else I've missed? I don't think so. But then I would have your marketing spend for Meta and for Google, and sales for Meta and Google, and return on ad spend for both of those, and your MER, so your marketing efficiency ratio. So you can see each day, and then you want to add up for the week to see how that's performing. And then what happens with that, that's data. That's our data. So with that data, you can then look at that each day and go, traffic's dropped, what's going on? Conversion's dropped, what's going on? You can start to be across that data and make better decisions and talk to the right team members to drive that forward. Now, you might have some other stuff you need to add on there that you need to look at each week. If you've got wholesale, then you want to track, obviously, your wholesale sales, a number of sales and average order values and all that for wholesale. You might want to put some customer service stuff in there, and you might want to put some social stuff in there as well that you want to monitor. But you have to decide what's important to you and then set up that report so that you can see what's going on all the time. I know you can jump on Shopify or a whole heap of software out there that will give you lots of different analytics, which is great. They're really useful. But what I found is people jump in and look at it when they want to look at it and go, that looks good, but they don't kind of make a historical record of that. So what I tend to do is set up a Google Sheet, share it with who needs to share it, get the team member to fill out the key results. Then we've got a mark each week or each day of where we were at. So that enables, and it brings together data from all around, from different systems, just into one spreadsheet. So then you've got one location where you can look at historical data versus where you are actually that day. And you can put targets on there and check it against targets. So that's what you want to do. So you've got that central source of information where you can go back and then you can look at trends. I would set up some graphs from there as well so you can see what they look like over time to see if you're trending in the right direction or not. But that's giving you levers that you can pull. The analogy is obviously a dashboard in your car. So when you're driving your car or flying a plane, you've got all these instruments in front of you telling you important information. This is what this is doing. Because if you've got that and you've got your weekly cash flow forecast, that's it. As an owner, from a financial point of view, if you're across those two things, you understand your break even. So I'll give you three things. You understand your break even. You've got a daily and weekly report you're looking at, which is looking against your budget and targets, and you're managing your cash flow each week. You're good. You are in the top 1 percentile of control of your numbers from a business owner's point of view. Trust me, I've been doing this for years. I'm an accountant and I'm amazed at how many business owners haven't got a clue about their numbers. But if you just do that, that's enough for you to be in control of it. The last part of the data then is things like your accounting software and tax and profit and losses and balance sheets and all of that stuff. Now, that's where you need to get expertise. So you need a bookkeeper to help you with that. You need a good accountant to help you with that. So don't get bogged down in that. You do want to, once you've got that there, you do want to look at a full profit and loss and balance sheet and receivables and payables each month. But you want your bookkeeper or accounting team and or accountant looking after that for you. So they're looking after the compliance side and they're looking after the full financial reports. And then you go through it with them each month, comparing it to budget to see how you're going. You do that, you're good, you're golden from a financial point of view, and it will really help you stay in control of your business and help you make better decisions based on the numbers. I can't emphasize enough how much difference it makes when I see e-commerce business owners making decisions based on the numbers instead of their gut or instead of what they feel. Gut and feeling has a place, but we want some independent data to help us verify what's going on. And this is how you do it. I could make a song out of that, couldn't I? But that's how you get in control of your money. So let's move to the next area. Because once you've got control of your money, then we need to start looking at growing. So getting control of growing the business. Now there's three key areas to this: your products, your store, and your traffic. Let's start with products. And we kind of touched on products when we talked about profit as well. But you want to be across and organized with your products and your SKUs. So I always get clients to set up a master file which includes all their products. So that they've listed down their products by category and subcategory, which has the sales price, the cost price, which includes the landed cost price, so everything that's built into it, your shipping you've had to pay to get it to wherever it's going, and or if you're manufacturing, your manufacturing costs, and work out exactly how much it does cost you to produce a X. So you need to know those numbers and have it all listed down with the products, and then also build in your shipping costs. Now, I've got some clients who do free shipping, some that don't. It's a mixed bag. Free shipping definitely helps reduce abandoned carts, definitely helps with sales. So if you can build it into the price, because really there's no such thing as free shipping, as we know, it's built into the price. But if you can build it into the price, then that is better. You can't always do it, especially if it's a heavy product or the shipping's pretty exy, then it makes it harder to build it in. But if you can build it in, but you need to know what those margins are. So then you can have a list of all your products, you know what margins you're making, all of those products, and that should be updated as the prices change. So it should be constantly updated and reviewed. So we know and we got those products organized. As well as that, and that's looking at our current product range, we need to then make sure that our range covers everything that our clients and customers want to buy. When you first start, you want to start with a minimal product viable range, and then you grow the range. So you grow the number of SKUs. That said, I've got some clients who've still only got 10 SKUs and they're doing $1 million a month. So it depends on your business, but you need to make sure you have a plan in place for the products you've got now and that you're maximizing the sales opportunities with those products. So really you want kind of your hero products that drag people in, and then the add-on products that add on to that hero product. The hero product needs to have enough margin and enough dollar amount in there to make advertising worthwhile and marketing worthwhile, and it needs to be something that there is a group of people out there that we can sell it to. Now, because you've already got sales at this stage, you've proved that has worked. You've got that. But what you need to do now is go back and review your product range. First and foremost, checking the margins and the pricing. And then second, where there's gaps. There's gaps in your SKUs that you can add in. I've worked with a number of businesses that have done kind of really well, but then started to taper off. And one of the main reasons they tapered off is because they haven't innovated and brought out new products or started selling more products. They've got caught up trying to keep up with what they've got and other stuff, and they've just not got to it. And it's cost them dearly. You don't know how long, what the life cycle is of your product. Some products carry on forever as being popular, others come and go quite quickly. But if you've got customers, you've got a niche that you're targeting, you want to be bringing on new products. So you need a product development roadmap. You need a list of new products or improvements to the products you've already got on that list, and you need to be constantly developing it. A lot of my clients as e-commerce business owners, this is where they end up. Like when we build the business up, we get other people doing some of the other tasks, and then they go, I just want to work on R&D. I just want to work on finding and sourcing new products and getting ideas. That's important. And you have to cost that out as well. So you have to know, okay, how much is it going to cost us to develop this product? How much is it going to cost us then to get the first shipment in to sell, and working out whether that's a financially viable too. The other thing from the product side of things is then also looking at your fulfillment and making sure, before we go to the next stage of growth, making sure that you've got the systems and processes. So you've got standard operating procedures in place that will help you grow the business effectively without it falling apart. Because as you grow, you're either going to bring in more people, you're going to need more supplies. The things are going to crack and break if you add more stuff to it, if you haven't got the right systems and structures in place in the first place. So if you're manufacturing your own products, then obviously you need to look at the processes for doing that. I work with a number of clients who do food products and they do manufacturing of that. And that's really important that you have that processes right. So if you start selling more, you can develop and you can manufacture more as you go. I've got other clients who, for example, as we grow, from a fulfillment point of view, it's keeping up. So when they got third-party manufacturers, so somebody else is doing their manufacturing for them, that could be in your own country, in Australia, for example, or that could be from China. If you get that and then you grow, they have to grow with you. So you have to manage that relationship to make sure they can supply you. I've worked with a client at the moment where we're growing quite well, but stock is becoming a bit of an issue. And the reason it's becoming a bit of an issue is timing. So from putting an order for them manufacturing it and then sending it to us takes weeks. It takes like 7 or 8 weeks. So we're growing quite rapidly, so we want to keep up with that. So obviously we have to increase the numbers we're ordering. That obviously then affects cash flow. So for them, we did actually a deal with the manufacturer where they would manufacture more and keep manufactured products in China that we could then ship quickly. And we would do a big order, put that on the sea, and then top up with the plane. So top up with air, with what's in stock over there, and we didn't have to pay for the stock that was over there. I think we paid with 20% deposit. So it meant it wasn't tying up our cash flow in stock either. But that meant we could then fulfill those orders. So it's about fulfillment, and it's also about customer service. So it's making sure that if you grow, so if you're on 100K a month now and you're going to go to 300, 400, 500K a month, then you need to make sure the system was going to be able to deal with that. And that your manufacturers or you are going to come to the party, and your logistics, either yourself or somebody else looking after logistics with third-party logistics, they're going to be able to deal with that. They can deal with that growth. So that's what you're doing. The first step when you're looking at growing is really just looking at the foundation of your fulfillment processes and your products to make sure they're ready to do that. Then it is looking at your store and making sure your store is set up to maximize sales. So it's about reviewing the store, updating the key pages in your store, like obviously your home page, your product page, and your category pages. So to make sure they're set up to convert, make sure the products are organized properly, make sure the product pages have enough information on there to sell, making sure you're making the right sort of claims. And if you're in a market where they are regulated, that you're not breaking regulations. This is probably really important. I have a number of clients where when you're small, you get away with a lot. But as you grow, you get more noticed and you get more people reporting you if you're not doing the right thing. So if you're making claims, especially on health products, if you're making claims that can't be substantiated, you are breaking the rules. And at some point, someone will come and knock on your door and tell you to stop. So you want to get ready for that, especially as you grow. So you want to make sure your site is set up to maximize this conversion. You've organized your products in good categories, potentially organize them by customer groups as well. And you've got the right marketing message on there, talking to your niche. You've got the right checkout processes. It's a kind of a review of your whole website. Your website is something you should always be working on. But when we look at the data, like we can look at the data and see, okay, your site's conversion rate is X. You can compare that to a like-minded business. So I had one client where their average order value was quite high. So it was about $1,000. Their conversion rate was about 0.8%. Now, when you kind of benchmark that, high ticket items, the conversion rate is lower, but it should be over 1%, 1 to 1.5%. So we know the conversion rate is too low. So then we can go, okay, let's look at the customer journey and work out where the issues are. Work out where people are getting to and then they're falling off or not coming through. So then we unwind that. And from that, we then put a plan in place to update product pages with key missing information and key things that people need to make a decision, as well as then obviously making sure we've got our email flow set up properly. So that's obviously abandoned cart, new customer flow, a new potential customer flow, so lead flow. So you want your flow set up and everything on the site to maximize that. So we went through and updated all of those things, and that helped us then improve our conversion rate. We're now well over 1%, which made, again, a massive difference to sales. Other clients where we look at the repeat sales, so their business model was repeat, and we realized that we were losing a lot of people and our repeat rate was nowhere near what we needed it to be. So then we looked at the site. Okay, how can we improve this? So we talked about the habit of using the product. We talked about how they should use the product, so educating them in the copy even before they buy. But then having an email flow that after they bought, you got a new customer flow, which would educate them on using the product, send them reminders by text and email, and then remind them when it's time again to buy the product again. Then obviously we set up subscription services as well with discounted prices, so people would subscribe and automatically get sent their product. So all of these things helped improve the performance of our store. So that's why at this point, you need to look at the store and work out what it is you can do to improve your performance of the store. Base that on the data that you're now looking at to see where the gaps are, and then changing the store to match. While you're doing that from a product point of view in step one, here you're doing the store. Then once you're happy with your store, and these things, stores and products and marketing, you're going to be doing all the time. You're going to be going around in circles, redoing. One of your first hires is going to be a marketing manager, marketing coordinator, content creator. Marketing is obviously a massively important part in your e-com store. And not just paid ads either. It's your socials, it's your EDMs, it's your alliances you do with other people, events you do with other people, activations. There's loads you can be doing as a brand. But that is the next thing. It's traffic. So it's about getting traffic to your store and working out how to increase that further. So obviously, you've got your main ways. I'm not sure what you're doing at the moment, but I should imagine Meta and Google are probably in the mix. And they are core to what you need to do. And you need, as an e-commerce business owner, you need a good understanding of how these work. You don't need to be an expert, but you do need to know first the data you should be looking at in your campaigns, what a good campaign looks like, what's good performance and what's not, and how to kind of log on yourself, review it, update it, and make minor changes. You need that there to then be able to hold somebody else accountable who might be doing it for you. Whether you're using an agency or whether you build somebody up internally who can do it for you. I do like the internal method. I find agencies quite hit and miss. Well, actually, quite miss and miss. They're not that great. There are some good ones out there, though. I'm not saying they're not. I think it works best when you do know what you're looking at and you can hold them to account and push them where you need to. So you need to understand the basics. As part of what I teach my clients is understanding these campaigns, understanding the key numbers that are important for your business to know whether you're making a profit or not, and understanding how to improve things. AI's helped a lot in this area and obviously will continue to help in this area. It's actually becoming a lot simpler to run and manage campaigns in Meta and in Google. Doesn't mean you still don't need expertise. You probably do, but you could have that internally as well with some external help. But you need to get across that and understand it. That's where you can obviously drive the business forward. Now, it's part of what we've done. I've got another client at the moment where when they came on board, they were just doing Google Ads. And Google Ads are obviously important, but they didn't have Meta in their arsenal of ads. So we've added Meta in, but we've learned that internally. So we've got a marketing manager. Their marketing manager actually is in the Philippines, but works full time for them. She's across that, and with us as the owners and the consultants driving the business forward, she reports to us, and together we manage that and grow that, and that's really helped them to grow. And we're at the stage now where we understand the campaign. We've got good campaigns set up. We've got content coming for new campaigns. We're monitoring the results each week. So we'll jump on a Zoom each week and go through, okay, where we're at. We're now scaling. So we're upping the budget slowly to start scaling. And we're doing it slowly so we can keep up from a stock point of view and a fulfillment point of view, but also so we don't break it as well, because they can be quite delicate. But you do want to be across that, and you do want to understand that as a owner. You can't shy away from this. So I think knowing the basic numbers I've just gone through and understanding the basics of Meta and Google will hold you a massive esteem ahead, give you a massive competitive advantage as an e-commerce business owner. So you need to learn that stuff. Now, what I would say is you've got to think about this. I think you need to think about marketing as a web. It's not linear. So linear just means, I've Googled it, I found your website, I brought your product. people don't tend to buy like that. I've got software which we use for some of my clients where we can look at what ads people have looked at, or what people have looked at before they buy, not just ads, everything. And 9 times out of 10, they've looked at 5 or 6 things before they've made the purchase. That could include ads on Meta, socials, EDM, Google, all in the one purchase. So this is why it's a web rather than a linear process. So you need that web to grab people. You can't just do Google ads or Meta. You should be doing both. That's to start with. Google ads are more are obviously focused on people who are already searching for your product. So if somebody's searching for your products, then obviously you want them to find you. They're ready to buy. They're in the market to buy. Meta is more top of funnel or full funnel. So it'll put ads in front of new people and then show them other ads to try and move them down the funnel. So they both work well together. And what tends to happen is if you've got lots going on in Meta, people will see you on Meta and they go, oh yeah, I want to catch them out. And then they'll Google you. So that's where they kind of work hand in hand. But you don't want to stop there, because what also works is you need to have good social content. You need to have good social content up there that people will binge watch, people will like to watch. So that's where it needs to be educational, entertaining. You need some really good content in there. So you need some good creative people in your business, or content creators that either work for your business as external consultants, or work in your business and kind of are the face of your business. Or quite often there's a lot of founders who are good at this stuff and they do a lot of this content too. But you need a good social presence, because people will see your ads and then they'll look at your socials. They'll look at the social media to see what's going on. And what tends to happen is you get somebody new in the world who finds you, or the ads find them. They go, oh, who's this? What's this look like? And they might check out your social media platforms, look at some of the content, so binge watch some of the content. They want to see, is there a lot of content here? Is it the same message that I'm getting over here and the same message on the website? Is there interaction there? Are people excited about this brand? That's where it comes in. And then they might Google you. Are they on Google? Are they around on Google as well? Is there reviews there? Is there that type of thing? So you need that in there too, as well as then obviously EDMs, and sending out regular EDMs as well, and building that list and constantly working on cleaning and tidying that list as well. And then it's looking at doing cohort events with other people, activations, other stuff as well, depending on your brand, depending where you want to sit, that are going to make people stand up and listen. I hate this word, influencers, but they can work they do work really well if you get the right person for your brand and your product who can showcase your products. It can work well just to get content too. So I've got a number of clients where we give out free product in return for them providing a video of them unboxing the product and using the product and talking about the product. And they've given us some really good content that's done really well on socials and done really well on ads and on our website. So that's what you do want to be doing there. You want to get those influencers, and sometimes micro influencers are better. This changes all the time. So for everything that's going on, marketing is the area that changes a lot. So keeping up with it all there's a lot there to keep up with. And that's where you obviously need to build a team there that can help you. But the key thing is that you need to get from this step is that you need to know and understand Meta and Google. Not an expert, but a good understanding of it. And you need to think about marketing as a web. And you want to grab people in your web with lots of points of contact and then wrap them up and then until they buy, and then keep them to make sure they buy again. So that's what we're doing from a growth point of view. The next step then that we really look at, and the final section, is people. So we need to build your people side of the business. So this is where we need to obviously start building a team that can do this work so that you can continue to grow and develop, but also so that you don't have to do this work anymore. You get your time back to focus on the business. And that could be, like I said, going into R&D and finding new products and finding new stuff. but it could also be enjoying some of the fruits of your labour. So I've got a lot of clients who they get to the point, and this is a 3 to 5, 7 year operation or project where they grow the business and they're doing 25, 30 million a year. They've got a management team in place running the business. They've got team members. They've got a good management structure underneath that. They've got good financial reporting going on, so we're across on what's going on. And the owner then kind of manages the general manager and steps away, maybe works 3 days or 4 days a week in the business where they are actually doing what they want to do, which often is R&D and finding new products, or like I said, they're enjoying their lives. So that's what we're trying to do here. But initially, obviously, you're trying to build the team so you can keep moving forward, because there's a lot of tasks that need to be done in your e-commerce store, and you're not going to be able to do it all by yourself. You need to build a team. So there is a process for that, and that actually starts with, first and foremost, looking at your systems. So this is point 7. Nearly lost count to what number we're up to. So what we're talking about here is actually designing your business on paper first. So that's going, okay, and when I say on paper, I don't really mean on paper. We're all digital now, but on the computer. But you need to go, okay, all right, what do I want this business to look like when I've got all the people in here I want to get in here? And so you go, okay, well, what is my 10-year kind of big, hairy, audacious goal? What's the thing I'm aiming for in this business? Where am I going? You want to work out what that is. Then you want to go, okay, from that then, what's my 3-year vision? And then what's my 12-month goals? And then what's my tasks I need to do each quarter? So you're kind of getting yourself organized, but what you're doing is you're setting up a plan for your team. There's a great book out there called Good to Great, which is quite an old book now, but Jim Collins wrote it. The thing I like about it is it's based on data. You can tell I like data, can't you? Sure, it's the accountant in me, but data is much better than people just saying what they think works. But what they did is he looked at, I think, 5 or 6 businesses that went from being good businesses, so performing in line with the market reasonably well, to great businesses, which was outperforming the market with returns of 15 times or more higher for a long period of time. And he went, okay, well, what was the difference? What happened to those businesses that made them go from good to great businesses? And one of the key things that he talked about there is he talked about the leadership, but he talked about the team as well and developing the team. And when you're saying, okay, this is our 10-year big, hairy, audacious goal, this is the vision for the business. What you're doing is you're going, okay, think of your business as a bus. Your bus, you've just put on the front where the bus is going. This is where I want this bus to go. Who's coming with me? Then you can go, okay, well, who do I need, or what roles do I need to fulfill this business? So this is where you do an org chart, but not an org chart for today, and not an org chart with people's names on it, but an org chart with roles. So roles that you need to fill and what the business will look like in 3 years' time. I probably only go as far out as 3 years, but okay, this is what I'm aiming for. This is the org chart I want to aim for. These are the key roles that I need to fill in this business. You can then go, okay, now I need to make position descriptions for each of those roles. So that's where, and you need to keep those position descriptions simple, where it just lists down the tasks that you need to do, that role needs to do, and the key performance indicators, so the results that role needs to achieve for the business to work. Don't overcomplicate it. That's what it needs to be. Because at the end of the day, your business is really just a massive amount of tasks that need to be done. And when you're doing an org chart and position descriptions, you're really organizing those tasks into roles for specific people to do who specialize in those roles. Then you need a management process set up. So how are you going to manage these people? So that's the reporting you need, weekly reporting, weekly meetings, training, all of that stuff to make sure you've got a process to follow. Then you need to look at, okay, all right, now I've got that there, I'm starting to ready to now build my team. And that's when you need to then go, okay, after that, let's look at then management and how I'm going to manage it. But from the bus metaphor, the org chart is the seats on the bus. So here's the seats on the bus. the bus is going here, this is who I need. You can then look, and this is what I normally do with clients, is then, okay, well now let's look what you've got now. And we look at what you've got now compared to where you need to be. And you can go, all right, well, he fits very comfortably in that seat, she fits very comfortably in that seat. Oh, I'm not sure about that person, whether they fit. Okay, I'm in most of those seats. That's what normally happens when you first start. But you share that plan then with your team. This is your first point of being a leader, because you're starting to share your vision with your team and share where the business is going, and you want to excite them. Because what you want to do is create a group of people around you who will support you with your vision and your goal. Now, when you're developing a business, you're not going to get everybody, not everybody in your team is going to be super positive and super with you, but you need a core group around you, and you need to start developing that core group around you that will and is excited about that and wants to grow with you. And this is the first step of designing that, is to say, okay, well, this is where we're going. This is our vision. This is what the roles I'm going to need to fill to get to that point. This is the position descriptions for those roles. This is how I'm going to manage them. Then you share that with your team. And I do that. I've done that with many businesses, and the team are always energized by it, because they suddenly go, oh, I can see what you're doing here. And what you're doing is you're creating culture. You're creating an environment that will foster the right people to perform well for you. It'll also foster the wrong people to get off the bus. So they'll get off the bus, and over time you'll build a team around you. Building a team is probably one of the hardest things you can do in a business, but it's also the most important thing. And the skills that you need to learn to become a good manager and a good leader. Because the next step after you kind of design that on paper and introduce that to your team is then management. And it is about then you getting good at management and you learning and putting in place management processes. I know this is the business growing up. That's what this is. I know sometimes it may seem a bit stale to an entrepreneur. And don't worry, that's why we try and get you out the way. That's why we try and get a general manager in there who is more of a manager, not an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are usually good at creating and good at creating that initial buzz, but not so good at managing. Doesn't mean you can't, it doesn't mean you shouldn't learn it. You should, but eventually you'll get better. You'll get people in there who are better at it than you. That's the point. That's what we want to do. But the key thing here is you want to make sure you've got good recruitment processes set up. So you know the roles you want to fill. You want to make sure you've got a process, you've got a job ad, you've got a description of the type of person you want, and you've got a process then for doing applications, shortlisting, phone interviews, face-to-face interviews, reference checks, all the stuff from a good recruitment process you need to implement in your business to help you select better when you are finding new people. You ain't going to get it right 100% of the time, that's for sure. But a good recruitment process helps you to improve the level of candidates you do end up employing or even attracting. So you need to have a good recruitment process. Then we need a good induction process. So that's when somebody does come in, there's a process to get them up to speed as quickly as possible. So we can get them effective as quickly as possible too. And then you have a process which can also then be delegated down to others. So you've got other people helping with that induction, but you're also making them feel like I'm in the right place here. This is a good place. Then you need your management processes, which include team meetings. So agendas for the various different meetings you need to have, what days, times you need to have them. One-on-ones, so when you have one-on-ones with clients, with certain team members, to keep them on track and move them forward. We then have, then you need to think about performance reviews, so operating performance reviews on at least a biannual or annual basis. And then, did I say team meetings? Yes, I did say team meetings. That's training. So making sure you've got a good training program set up for them to learn the different areas of the business. Then also you need a process for dealing with employees that aren't working properly. I'm not a fan of HR departments by any stretch of the imagination, but what can help here, and I've done this for a number of clients as well, is where they grow and get to this point, is that the owners have an EA. So an EA is an executive assistant. So it's somebody that's kind of their right-hand person that then will help them with the admin of all this stuff and organising the meetings and organising everything that needs to be organised. Like I said, you're an entrepreneur most probably, and that stuff's not going to excite you. But you're going to have to do it for a while until the business is big enough that we might get a general manager in there to do it, or a CEO to do it. But you'll definitely need to do it, but to start with. But an EA can really help with that, because that is the last part of this. Then is your leadership skills. So the last part of this whole jigsaw is you becoming better as a leader. It's quite funny when they looked at Good to Great, and they looked at all the businesses that had gone from good to great. He said he didn't want to talk about leadership because he said too many people talk about leadership all the time. He didn't think that was necessarily a defining factor, but he found that in every company it was, but it wasn't what you thought. The leader wasn't a flash, come in, let's go, follow me type leader. They were more consultative. They were more reserved. They were more about building the team. They weren't the ones that their competitors often had, the more flash ones who were cultivating a culture of followers, really. It was the ones who were kind of weren't like that, who were more consultative and more team building, that were a lot more successful. And he called it level 5 leadership. So you need to learn the skills of leadership and to improve your skill set to lead. And you don't have to be what you think a good leader is. It's probably the opposite. There's another tool here as well that you should learn from a leadership point of view as well, is using DISC. So DISC is a personality profiling tool. I've used it for 20 years. It's an extremely useful tool for understanding people. First and foremost, understanding yourself, so your natural strengths and weaknesses, but then also understanding your team. And then you can lead using DISC. Because if you can say, okay, somebody's this personality type, that means when I communicate with them, I need to communicate in this way. It means your communication is a lot more effective. Also means you can assign people to roles that fit their personality type better as well, which means you'll get better results too. So there's tools that you need to learn and skill sets you need to improve in as a leader to push your leadership forward, so you can truly lead your team. Even when you do have a general manager or a CEO in place, you're still the leader. You're still going to be involved as the leader. You can delegate everything else, but leadership is still something that is going to fall back to you. Your CEO will do it too, but you need to do it as a team, and you need to do it as part of a management team. Because that's effectively where you want to end up. Once you get to the point where you are 20, 30 mil, you're going to have a management team. And that management team is going to run the business. And this is what you're aiming for the whole time you're building the team. It starts with, first and foremost, not just being you anymore, getting someone to help you pick and pack, getting your first marketing person, to eventually building a management team and everything in between. So that's the final area that you need to think about in your e-com store. And they're the 9 steps that you need to look at or give you the framework to be successful in your store and to get you first to $1 million a year, then $1 million a month and beyond. Like I've got clients where we've implemented this. Like I said, they're doing 25, 30 million a year. So this is the framework for you to implement. So get into this and start implementing this into your business. If this is something that you would like some hands-on help with, then that's what I do on my one-on-one coaching. So I say probably the biggest difference on my one-on-one coaching is I work with a small group of e-commerce owners. I work with them and their team, and I get very hands-on. So I will jump on Zoom with your different team members. I will sit there and help you put copy together, budgets together, forecasts together, reports together, interviewing, whatever is needed. I jump on and jump in there with you as we build the team and build the business. So if you are interested in that, please check it out. I'll put a button below. There will be a button below this video where you can book a call with me, where we can have a chat to see if and how I can help. I hope you found that useful, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Cheers.